Hello, and welcome back to part two, where I'll actually be able to keep my mic close to my mouth so I don't have to do a lot of editing. Thank you, me. But yeah, we need to talk about the Big 12 now, because the Big 12 is endangered right now. Everyone thinks that maybe this conference is going to go extinct. I doubt it because there's already so much money in here, and they are still right up there with the Pac 12, even with losing Texas and the other teams, maybe not profitably, but still up there with competition wise. I want to go more in detail with everything. I want to talk about a little bit about the effects and then who would actually be able to join the Big 12. That's the big thing about this video because I have so many teams that have listed out here that could possibly join the Big 12. Not really the ones that they really want, but I mean the ones that would be very good for these schools to join for that matter. So we're going to talk more about that, so stay tuned. All right, so the big effect about this. Well, for one, they're going down to 8 teams, and they're called the Big 12, where they're supposed to have 12 teams. That's not a good look right now. As I mentioned in the last video, Kansas would become the top school in the conference, where they would be ranked number 28th out of all the other schools, which, yes, would definitely make them the least profitable conference in the league. And then I was actually able to see the other Big 12 teams that are actually available to me. TCU and Baylor are not available to me, but I was actually able to see the other schools, and they're all 40th. They're all 40th and below. So really not the most profitable conference right now, and especially losing these two teams, they're definitely not going to be the most profitable. They're still going to be a Power 5 school. There's no doubt about that. It's just a matter of who they add and how those teams actually become more profitable, because they're going to be taking teams away from the lower conferences possibly, or even just a couple of upper conferences. Some of the criteria that they need to follow is that the revenue must be sustainable, meaning that they must be at least a rich school to help bring in a lot of profits. They need a conference deal for the 2024-2025 season, so a team that might be in the geographical region and they have a deal set all the way to like 2030 is not eligible. Trust me. I'm sorry, Arkansas. Just academic wise, students must be enrolled with $20K for the public schools, $10K for private schools, above that limit, and must be a good education program, because I doubt the Big 12 want to be the worst conference in revenue for the Power 5, but also the stupidest. Football stadium must be 40K capacity and must have room to maybe upgrade and at least be a good stadium, not like a stadium that has like bench seating everywhere. So Memphis, I'm sorry. Basketball arena must not look like a high school arena. I think everybody on this list is good with that, because we don't want no FCS school, which actually is the next criteria. Current FBS school. They must be a current FBS school. So North Dakota State, you cut. I'm sorry. So who would actually be able to join following all that criteria? Well, one team that I think nobody has even thought about, and they actually have a deal done with their conference coming up in 2023-2024, meaning that they need a new deal, is the University of Colorado, the Colorado Buffaloes. They originally were in the Big 12, but they ended up leaving for the Pac 12 and really have not found success. They only had one good season, but that's in FBS football. But for them to be able to join this conference would actually be big, and a lot bigger than a bunch of these other schools. Like, they'll be 46th in college sports revenue, so that would immediately make them right in the middle of the Big 12, and they fit the criteria. They're 40th, they're in that range, so they'll be able to fit right up in there. They have 35 students enrolled into the university, and they are ranked 103 in the nation, which is very, very good. It's a lot better than a lot of these schools that are actually on this list. Their stadium fits 50K. It's an okay stadium, I would say. It definitely seems like it have a great atmosphere, but I don't think they might need to upgrade a little bit. Who knows? But they originally were in there. I mean, they are a Power 5 school, so it has to be good enough. But then, of course, with it being the Big 12, there are some sports that might not be able to stay in the conference. So for non-Big 12 sports, it would be skiing. I didn't know a college team would have skiing, and women's lacrosse. That's where the first problem comes in, actually, because the Colorado Buffaloes might actually try to attempt to join the Big 10. Try to be reunited with Nebraska, try to get that rivalry back in. And the Big 12, it's not really as profitable as the Big 10. So that's the only problem I see, is that the Colorado Buffaloes might actually try to join that. If not, they'll probably go back to the Pac-12. So this might be a little bit of a reach, but if there's ever a school that the Big 12 needs to get on, it's the Colorado Buffaloes, if they want to be at least profitable in these coming days. But I doubt this is going to happen. All right, the next school we have is BYU, the Mormons out west. So far right now, they really don't know what conference they're in, so I don't think they're even tied to one complete conference. I didn't see no deal. Like, they're a part of the West Coast Conference, which is a basketball conference. Yeah, no, I don't think they want to be a part of a basketball conference. Those aren't really that profitable so much. Their football team is independent, and I think other sports are a part of so many other conferences. So BYU, for them to join the Big 12 would actually be like sustainable. It would actually give them at least like everything that they need, like all in one conference, so they don't need to look out for other conferences and try to get money that way. So that would be good. They are a private school, so stuff is hidden, so I'm not able to get like all their information, but I can tell you that they're the number 80th in education, which is very good and probably the best out of all teams I have on this list right now. And their stadium fits perfectly. It's 63,000 students can fit into that stadium, and the scenes at the stadium are beautiful. Like, this would be like the most scenic Power 5 school that we would actually ever have. So, and then their basketball arena is very big, probably bigger than most schools in the Big 12. So right here, right now, this school would actually be perfect. And it also fits that all their sports are Big 12 eligible. So BYU, nobody really talks about BYU joining the Big 12. I think BYU would be very sustainable and be a very big school for the Big 12 to go after. And they're not even tied to like one complete conference, and they might be wanting to look more towards more money in the near future. So for BYU to possibly join the Big 12 is probably the most likely scenario here. And for them to be a part of a big conference like this would be big for them. Obviously, their morals aren't the best and everything with being a Mormon school, but you know, BYU could be a very big school for the Big 12 to go afterwards. So I think that's probably the most likely choice on this list. All right, next one on this list I think is possibly the other most likely behind BYU is the University of Houston. This school right here, according to all public schools that I'm able to find like their revenue from, is the most profitable behind UConn when it comes to a non-Power 5 school, when it comes to the finances of their athletic programs. Their stadium is great. Their athletics have been incredible the recent years. Football it's been okay, but their basketball program is immediately going to be able to compete with the Big 12. So definitely something to look forward to as well. Obviously, the state of Texas is a very competitive state for academics, and they are ranked 176 in the nation. But they would still be ranked above Texas Tech, which automatically would make them very big in their academic programs. And I'm really not seeing a deal with their current conference, the American Conference. So I guess right now it's fair game if they wanted to leave the American Conference. I did see they signed like, I'm not sure if that was the American or if that was Houston that signed a $1 billion contract with ESPN so they can host their games. But I don't think they're even tied to anything like that. I didn't see the official date, and all their sports are Big 12 compatible. I think Houston is a highly likely chance to join the Big 12 come 2024, 2025. Even before then, maybe. Who knows what will happen. They might be able to find a deal to join them as soon as possible. But yeah, no, this is why I still say the Big 12 is still a Power 5 school, because I doubt the American Conference, teams are going to be wanting to stay with the American Conference. They're going to be wanting to go to the Big 12. And speaking of the American Conference, Cincinnati, the University of Cincinnati, I think would actually be a very likely choice, especially with how their athletics have gone in recent years. Revenue is number 56 in the nation, which is very good. They play in Nippert Stadium, which is an absolute madhouse. And their athletics, like their football team, was competing against the University of Georgia in the Peach Bowl. And then you also have their basketball team, which has been very good in recent years and very much a lot of people have been paying attention to as well. Academics are 143, which is great. The only Big 12 sport that they would have is women's lacrosse. That's where the other problem comes in too. Because for them, geographically, I think they would want to be a part of the Big 10 more than the Big 12. And for them to join the Big 10 would actually be big. But they also have Ohio State that could completely block the call, and then they would be able to head over to the Big 12 as like a second choice. But either way, I feel Cincinnati would be a highly likely choice for the Big 12 to go after and actually like start like contacting them. I would not even be surprised if Cincinnati started contacting them, because this school is definitely going to be able to compete right away into the Big 12. It's just a matter of just can they keep up their finances, and will the money that be coming in from the Big 12 be very good for the school? And then I think the last school, it's not geographically there, but I feel like it would actually be very good and be actually like a very big wild card because, like I said, West Virginia is in the Big 12. So the University of Central Florida, that would be a very big school. And this is actually a school that's a complete wild card, but it's probably the most likely one on this list. Even though I would say BYU, Houston, and Cincinnati are very much likely over that. For the Big 12, they might even go right towards the University of Central Florida. Like, they've been talked about joining the SEC and ACC in discussions, but they really haven't been publicly out there with wanting to join those conferences. And for them to join the SEC, they might be blocked by the University of Florida. And then join the ACC, they might be blocked by Florida State and Miami. So that's the difficulty right there. But the insane stat that I just found about this school that I did not realize is that they have 71,000 students attending this school. 71,000. I've never heard of anything so crazy like that. Like, for me going to University of Georgia, I think we had 35 students, and I thought that was crazy. 71,000 students? That's insane. And they would be ranked 160. So they're already right up there with the education as well. And their athletics have been known to grow very fast. They went from like D3 back in like 1978 or something like that, immediately into Division 1 probably like a couple years later. I would definitely watch KTO's video. I'm gonna have it linked up above. The only problem is Big 12 sports, the non-Big 12 sports are gonna be cheer and men's soccer. That's the only problem, but those are easily able to find other conferences, so that should be no problem. But University of Central Florida, they would join the Big 12. They would finally be able to have a likely chance of actually being able to become national champions instead of being recognized by the NCAA. They will actually be able to compete for a national championship. So for them to join the Big 12 would actually be very big. And then just some freebie schools that I'm just going to bring up, just based off everything. UConn, richest public school outside the Power 5. Definitely big in basketball. Football could be a little bit better, but for them, geographical region might be a little bit difficult. Speaking of geographical region, SMU, right in Dallas, Texas, could be very big, and they are a private school, so I'm not able to find everything, but their facilities are a little bit small, so they would need to upgrade that. So I don't think SMU would be joining anytime soon. Memphis, I mentioned you guys earlier, you guys can join, but you guys will probably need your own facilities. They rent facilities. They play in the Liberty Bowl, and they play in the FedEx Forum where the Memphis Grizzlies play. So I mean, yeah, you guys pack out your stadiums and everything, but I just don't think Memphis would be able to join because they don't have their own facilities. I could be wrong. Who knows? But yeah, if I would have to pick two schools to completely just replace Texas and Oklahoma, I would pick BYU and Houston just based off that. But if there's other schools that like we want to just complete the Big 12, the 12-team quota, add Cincinnati and add the University of Central Florida, UCF. That would be a very competitive conference. Basketball would be very, very competitive. Houston, Cincinnati, Kansas, that would be such a good school, just a good conference just to see for basketball. For football, it would be very good, but it's not going to be like as competitive as it would be with Texas and Oklahoma. But yeah, that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts about everything. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed this two-part series. I'm going to try to make more NASCAR content. I noticed that a lot of you guys actually like the NASCAR content a little bit more, so I might try to make more of that. But I definitely still want to be able to talk about these other sports as well, be able to educate you guys on that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.